I believe that God can use anyone and anything to reach people for the sake of the gospel. Oftentimes, those things can come from the most unexpected places. A lot of what this channel is based on is the reality, I believe, is that God can use anime to bring people to himself. That he can make this happen throughout narrative, characters, gospel themes shown in the anime. They can be relatable to the human reality. That can point us to Jesus. But if I told you that God can use streamers too, and even more so, bring them into relationship with himself. It's not recent news in the Christian space. I think most Christian creators were excited that this happened. Streamer Jidion has given his life to Jesus. He recently announced it on a live that he was fully committing to Jesus after having a conversation with a woman in an Uber. It's so fascinating because it's just showing that you don't need a special title or ministry or even a YouTube channel to preach the good news of the gospel. I think in practicality, being an Uber driver, you can share the gospel with people, and God does things with it. I'm super excited for Jidion's story and his journey and what God will do through him and for him. I find it amazing that I feel like God is doing something in the creator space right now. Like dudes like Georgienko, Young Don, and now Jidion have committed their lives to Jesus. I'm sure there are more on the way that God is saving. I don't watch Jidion like that, but I do see him pop up on my YouTube page and on my TikTok page, and he has a really great following. And today people are always saying that social media is ruining our generation, but what if the things that people think are so foolish and not useful that are corrupting the next generation to mock God, he's actually using to bring people to himself. We recently seen what an influence of streamers and creators can have when people like Kai Cenat held a giveaway in New York City, and there were tons and tons of teenagers and young people that came to this event and eventually got him arrested. Unfortunately, it shows you that the internet and creators are only being given more power, but with great power comes great responsibility. And everyone has to ask themselves this question, whether you're Christian or not: how will you use this influence? Will you use this influence for your own personal gain, or will you use it to impact the world for good and for the people around you and for the people watching you? Watching Jidion's video, the main theme I found around it was that he was wrestling with this idea of being rich and having everything he needs. He talked about a few deals that he was about to make, and then coming to the conclusion that what he had was enough. That at the end of the day, you can't take your riches with you, which I think is a reminder for all of us, even in the Christian space or any space for that matter. We want to do things for the bag. Definitely get to the bag, but if you miss the main point of this life, then you're getting to the bag is pointless and vain. You can't take these likes and clicks and views with you. Those things matter, but at the end of the day, we have those things, but we're not holding on to Jesus. Then we really have nothing. I think a word of encouragement for Jidion and others like him who may give their life to Jesus: you probably should ignore everyone who will try to nitpick you for not having everything right away. One of the things that I've seen from really influential people in any place is that we as Christians put these influential people on a pedestal, and when they become Christian, we boast in God that he has changed their heart and they now trust in Jesus. But the moment that they're working out their salvation or theology, or not saying things that you want or you disagree with, we shout out heretic, and we can be really nasty with people who fall outside the lines of what we think is right. Probably ignore that. You might even be better just to turn off your comments if you need to, because when that happens, it can be really discouraging in the way of discipleship. Walk with Jesus. The longer you walk with him, the more you will mature. You'll have moments where things are hard and tough, and that's okay, because Jesus calls all of us to take up our cross, to die to ourselves. And that's not easy. Have people in your life, in your real life, that you can journey alongside with. It'll help you stay sane. I promise you. My Christian brothers and sisters who have a social following and like to do content, give Jidion grace. You'll probably have people tell him that he should step back for a while before he starts doing content or whatever, which is fine if he wants to prioritize growing more and reading his Bible more, whatever. But realize that you didn't have it all figured out when you were walking with Jesus. Also take into account that you probably weren't on the internet scene figuring out your faith in front of millions of people. The thing to figure out is Gen Z and people like Jidion make their living from streaming and doing content. So to tell them to quit and do nothing for a certain period of time is easy to say when you don't do what he does for a living. No one was telling you to quit your day job when you started following Jesus. I don't think you probably should either. Unless it was Kanye West. Like, dude has millions of dollars. He could have sat back and just got discipled for a couple years and he probably would have been straight, I think. But that's different opinions. Young Christian or young person who's already watching Jidion and you're kind of on his journey and seeing his journey, please do not make Jidion the spokesperson for Christianity. Don't stop listening to him, but if you're introduced to Christ through him, get plugged into a local church. Listen to more mature Christian YouTubers or teachers like Mike Winger or Ruslan or Alan Parr. Like, these guys have been walking with Jesus for some time, and some of the questions that you might be wrestling with, these guys might have already answered, and you can seek their wisdom in the sphere of Christian YouTube as a wide market as it is. Sure, this will get lost in a bunch of the Christian content creators that are making content about Jidion's conversion, but if Jidion still happens to see this, bro, just know I am happy for you. I am glad that you have found Jesus. Hold on to him, and yeah, man, just keep rocking out, keep doing what you're doing. Can't wait to see where you're at in a few years and hopefully in eternity. See ya.